Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed Chapter 6 as much as I did. Let's get right into it. We opened to Chapter 6 with audible laudations about character growth. So much for subtlety. Even if said character growth is just learning to be a decent, well-mannered person. We learned that Heathcliff wasn't actually born in T-Corp, he was simply raised there. And I must agree with Dante as he hits the nail on the head for Honglu. Rodian brings up a good point about rotten meat. If everything is one color, distinguishing important stuff like spoiled meat must be harder than usual. Smell isn't always a foolproof solution. Faust also mentions that one must pay T-Corp to get their colors back. T-Corp used to be filled with gangs that had codes of honor, but now is simply infested with rat-tier thugs. Where can I get these pamphlets? I want all of them ASAP. Time is a literal currency in T-Corp. Yay! Amazon dollars! Corporations attempted to do this in real life around this time period as well. It's what's known as a script currency, but it was eventually shut down. Time retrieval fixers! The jobs truly are endless in the city. No bodies being left behind makes me think of sweepers. Okay, Rhodia, just come out and say it then. We learned that it's never that simple, but it makes me feel in tune. That's right, we are in the nest part of T-Corp. It is crazy to see this kind of syndicate level in a nest. Could T-Corp perhaps be on its way out? All of the shops that have been closed along their ride compound on the previous fact. Honglu also mentions a heavy level of fog going around them, and my brain immediately went to Jack the Ripper for some reason. Let me just pin this quote right here for anyone who keeps asking about singularities. Faust exposes that the light is needed for T-Corp singularity to work, and thus the spectrum is diluted and color is removed. All conjecture on her end though. I am glad they gave Rodian this talking point to Sinclair. Helps give her some development, even if it's just showing off her mindset that we already know that she had. The weather at Wuthering Heights is always pretty awful. Dawn speaks as if colors can often work without contracts. This is something I believe is mentioned by Roland back in Library of Arena, but I can't be bothered to check exactly when. Virgil finally confirms my thoughts that the company seeks Dante and the crew to grow through tribulations. He would invalidate all of that if he were to step in. Virgil is also personally invested in Dante, so if he were to step in, it would have to be for his own benefit at the same time. I don't know if I like it when Ryoshu and Oidis team up. That's too much of a certain kind of energy, even for me. Yeah, that cinches it, this lightning isn't normal. A parallel can be drawn with Heathcliff grabbing the gate and his ego image of Body Sack. Oidis reminisces about something in her past that was similar to the lightning security system. Weather control is so expensive that not even Honglu's family has seen it. I am oh so more enticed to see what's going on in Oidis' chapter. The lanterns in the mansion are what offer color back to the room, compounding Faust's theory on surmising about the light. Oifi fixers are very rare, according to Dawn, so seeing them here means something's going on. We later learn that these aren't Oifi, but the fact that they're so rare probably explains why no one questioned them. Side note, I love the word vitriol. It always gets across what you mean, even if you've never heard the word before. Though it was presumed for the preview season, Heathcliff was indeed a member of the Dead Rabbits sometime prior. The Dead Rabbits were picked up by the Ring, though this is only a half-truth at best. We learn that the Dead Rabbits have long since been destroyed, though Matthew here has connections with ex-Ring researchers who are working for Herman and Corp. Despite the reading of the will, Catherine is more akin to being stuck in a suspended animation at the current moment. We do know that she's still functionally able to exert her will, as we see at the end of the chapter. Things are slowing down a bit in terms of new info here in the middle of the chapter, but I am excited to see that butlers are used as house fixers. M-Corp is the wing responsible for moonstones that help with repelling mental-based attacks. It makes sense that they would have some of the top-of-the-line, inescapable rehabs. 2 golden boughs all in one place. Now that's a first. And X-Corp is brought up again. Good little bouts of name-dropping. The storm is so strong that it knocked Heathcliff back into his normal attire. Butlers are lined up to be some of the most expensive fixers outside of those of the highest grade. I guess that is to be expected when you are a personal bodyguard and a housekeeper. Their contracts last beyond anyone's remembering, and taboo hunters or the Oifi will hunt you down for breaking it. So I guess the Oifi remembers. Faust's silence at this moment is so suspicious that they felt the need to even add it in. The rabbits are indeed puppeted corpses. Broken mirrors sound when they are defeated, which is a pretty genius way of foreshadowing what their true fate is. Everyone in T-Corp has to have a timepiece. It's functionally their ID. We also see here that Catherine was indeed in love with the violet flowers, in which we learn at the very end are known as Heath. Quite cheesy if you ask me, despite them being real flowers. Despite wanting to destroy all alternative realities, Herman is not above using them as a tool to do so. Fixer Monthly Magazine. I love it. Where do I sign up? Dawn is just as much of a treasure trove with offhand knowledge as Honglu is. Facilities filled with man-made horrors sure do love to be built underneath wealthy people's houses. Boughs are inevitably linked to humanity, so Faust exposits that they are here using them for experiments regarding such. The machines doing so are that of Yi Sing's research. Yikes. But hey, at least he gets to meet one of his old friends, and a new blue coat, Asaya. Aside from that, we also learn that the docents and maestros are ring member ranks. What a fun disguise to see through. Ryosho has an obvious disdain for the ring and their hack art, but at the same time they pique her interest. The fact that Matthew had set up Hindley means that this traveler has been in our reality for quite some time. An invisible force prevents people from interfering with naturally occurring distortions, unlike with the monolith. That is great new info. Earl King Heathcliff thought he is the real mastermind of his plan, but it couldn't be more of a pawn to both Nellie and, by association, Herman. I really do appreciate all the prior missions setting up the fact that people can come back from distortions. It was inevitable that one of the sinners were going to distort at this point. Someone's identity can be overwritten with someone else's, as we see with Earl King Heathcliff and Isabella. Whoa, that was a hell of a shell crack from Mersault. I think Mersault is going to be a low-key sleeper hit when it comes to the chapters. They are making what are functionally homunculus molds. They are looking to make human molds that can hold the form of any being and have any identity easily transplanted on top of them. Oh, Josephine's here. I was wondering how they were going to get rid of her. God fucking damn it, this is cool. Dudes will see this and say, hell yeah. Golden Boughs are such vast fonts of power that they could function like a pair of familiar black boxes. Wasn't expecting Ryosho to bring up the Yokai March. That would be fantastic to see in her chapter. Damn! That's the kind of speed I would expect to see from a color. Please clear all records of any red fraud allegations. I mean, just look at this. Virgil is familiar with the feeling of the Wild Hunt. Perhaps he is thinking back to when he fought with the Ring. He did face a number of powerful Pacatula in that of his old office. He knew the term Wild Hunt before any of them had mentioned it by name as well. We also get to see that more Shin is used on Virgil's sword when he pulls out his ego. Now, we know that there's definitely something going on with the Sinner's base ego. They feel summoned rather than earned if this is the skill gap. Is what I would want to say if we didn't see much weaker egos like Moses's. Not saying that hers is not strong, it's still an ego, but it's nowhere near what Virgil is doing here. This is the work of his own skill getting boosted as well. Long story short, from 43 to 47 is that Heathcliff and Catherine are just as melodramatic as in the book. Kathy is out here just calling the Boughs the MacGuffins they are. And another amazing chapter. Peak yet again. If chapter 4 was peak, chapter 5 was peaker, well, this is peakerist. The use of Catherine speaking through Dante's tablet was pure gold, even if the ending of hers is bittersweet. We see very shortly after that Heathcliff renames as Bad, so at least she lives on in spirit. We know Project Moon doesn't like their completely happy endings, but I like to believe that there's just enough hope for these two. The chapter didn't introduce nearly as much new information as Chapter 5 did, but it did do a lot to set a lot of small, minute threads that I am certain will be picked up on in later chapters, and we can look back here and say, oh, that's where we first saw those. A big thank you for watching to the end of the video, and an even bigger thank you to the patrons who support the channel. Serial Destination O and Moondrive Z. Chapter 7 can't come soon enough as I am very excited to see what is explored next.